hosted by Jason Bryan and providing the latest insights on telecoms trends from around the world. This is ROCCO Radio.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Eureka Podcast by ROCCO Radio. I'm your host, Jason Bryan, and we're thrilled to be joined by Eva Heinze Gildum, Managing Director of Yaana Solutions, a leader in telecom data analytics. Eva has spent her career navigating the telecoms industry from the early days of roaming to cutting-edge AI-driven financial management solutions. In today's conversation, we'll dive deep into the evolution of roaming technologies, the challenges and innovations in wholesale financial management, and how Yaana is using AI to streamline processes and boost efficiency. You won't want to miss this insightful discussion. Well, it's a real pleasure to be here with Eva from Yaana. Eva, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Jason?
I'm good. I'm enjoying the summer and interested to find out what the autumn has got to present to us, all these conferences going to GSMA WAS in Indonesia and all of these interesting things coming up. So
I'm sure it will be an action-packed rest of the year.
Indeed. No, it's going to be, I'm sure, for all of us. Eva, before we start, answer a question for me, which I know some others have had. How do you pronounce exactly your name? The full name?
Well, the full name, I go by two because it's either Eva or Eva. I guess that depends a little bit of where you're from. I answer to both, but my full name is Eva Heinze Gildum. So Heinze is basically my maiden name.
Okay. Thank you very much. And for our listeners, in case they don't know you, tell us about the company you work for and your role in that company.
Yes, of course. So I'm Eva Heinze Gildum. I've been working in telecoms for most of my career. I head up Yaana Solutions, which is essentially a data analytics company where we focus on optimizing and working with the wholesale roaming financial management and control, and with a little bit of a byline related to digital workflow. So a little bit more about me, maybe. So as I mentioned, working in telecoms for my career, and I started back in the days where the telco market was actually being liberated. So I was part of the Telia team that rolled out the GSM 1800. Oh. I'd worked with, it's a while back.
Fantastic.
I did handset procurement. Just getting dual band handsets at that point in time was difficult and challenging. Then I dabbled a little bit in procurement before I made the transition to data and financial clearing services. So I was with DanNet for about 6 years. On the sales side, I worked with data and financial clearing. Actually, I did do one little small stint in Time Systems before DanNet. So Time Systems, Jason, I don't know if you remember the days where we had these nice leather-bound paper books with how we managed our time and to-do lists and everything.
Yeah.
I actually liked them at some point in time. But anyway, this Time Systems, I think this was back in, let's just say a while back. They wanted to do a digital calendar. And they tried to do paperless time management and frankly failed miserably. So I think the project only lasted for about 9 months. And then thankfully, I had a chance to join DanNet right after that.
DanNet, of course, a name people won't remember today. But, obviously the old timers in our industry will remember being a very core, you're based in Denmark, right? Of course.
Correct.
Yes.
DanNet,
but a very core and very intelligent company, I would say, kind of looking at how, we can optimize the roaming experience.
Absolutely. I mean, it was the beginning days of just, enabling roaming across different countries where the keywords were seamless handover between networks. So the challenges in that point in time were obviously significant around just the basics where you could see data clearing today may be a little bit more of a standard product, as is financial clearing. But back in the day, it was very innovative. And I guess one of the reasons why we're all working in the industry today is because it actually worked.
Absolutely. It's 32 years since the first roaming agreement was signed.
Yeah.
And at that time, it's like, for people who don't know that, it's a European-based solution. Obviously, operators were trying to work together. It's now been adopted globally. So it's something that started in Europe first, which we can be proud of. And yeah, it needed all kinds of functionality right in the background to get it moving and to get it working.
Yeah.
You still hear the stories of people in the industry saying, "Oh yeah, I had to carry a suitcase full of billing records to the meeting and exchange it with my different roaming partners." It's like crazy.
We've come a long way as an industry.
Yeah, and you have, of course, because we also remember you from Neustring, and I know, if you wouldn't mind to describe to us the relationship, how that went with Neustring, and then it became Yaana, and I still see the Neustring brand.
So Neustring started back in I think it was 2007 or 8, and you could say it was kind of a spin-off of what I and a couple of other guys were working within data and financial clearing. At that point in time, Dennet had been acquired by Mac, so it was Mac. But there was an initiative that we at that point in time called consultative selling, which is obviously quite generic today. But the concept was that Mac had a repricing solution. Repricing essentially, within the data flow, instead of just taking the price that your roaming partner is charging you wanted to charge your end subscriber differently. So to be able to build that was a technical solution that was repricing the data flow. So on the Mac side, we decided that we wanted to take a different approach to that sales process. So one part of it is, of course, the technical capabilities of being able to do repricing. But we thought, why not actually try to support the MNOs in what kind of a business case could they actually build based on having a repricing solution. So we designed, I think it was probably Excel at that point in time, but a solution that would be able to take the data and then apply, instead of having unit rates, instead of applying margins, we would apply unit rates and make these, regional price plans. And we would be able to tell the MNO how much their margin, and at that point in time, it was how much it would increase, which was significant. I mean, I think many MNOs will think back to those days as golden days from a roaming retail perspective, especially if you're comparing to what the margins are like today. But basically, coming back to Neustring, that was how the idea started, because there was some of us in Mac who thought that this was actually a pretty nifty idea and wanted to focus on it. And basically then some of the guys started Neustring as a company and built basically the first ever dedicated financial analytics solution to, at that point in time, retail, which basically then quickly also managed the wholesale side. So it was the first product of its kind. And I remember everyone was saying, so are we really going to invest in something for this specific area? And well, I guess the fact that we are here today and others have joined and grown that market answers that question. So that's where Neustring came into the picture. And then in 2017, Neustring was acquired by Yaana. Yaana is a US-based data analytics and compliance company who also wanted to let's say, invest in this market and had have this common synergy related to managing data. And I guess the same, what do you call that? The same idea that, data is the new black, or data is the new gold, and wanting to be able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, it must have been an interesting journey for you, because if we look back to the start of the new millennium, and we had this massive change in our industry, which was, now we're going to do discount deals. Mm-hmm. And, how do we optimize that? And over the course of the last 20 years, it's been optimized, I would say, quite a lot in terms of the types of deals that are made. And I guess, having analytics is a fundamental part of that today.
Absolutely. I mean, it's more and more complex in the sense that there are different pricing models. There's more data, more types of data, more types of roaming are coming into play as well. And being able to benefit and, to deep dive into, take advantage of data can be time consuming. You want to be able to have access to the right information at the right time. To do that, you need to also be able to ask the right questions. So for me, it's never only been about having access to the data. Sitting on data is like sitting on a gold mine, you could say, but you certainly also need to put some constructive thought into how is that data going to work for you? How do you put it to work for you, and how do you actually get some benefit out of it?
Great. So to modern times and Yaana, we were really pleased that you came to join us in the Innovators for 2024, appearing at the ROCCO Genesis event, and a huge congratulations, because you were the number one as chosen by the panel of MNOs, which we call the Lions. How did it feel to get that to make that achievement?
Oh, wow. Where do I start? I mean, it was amazing. It was fun. It was, humbling, relief. Many words could be used. It was a very interesting process to be part of in general. Something that we had, we'd looked on the sidelines of the previous Innovators competitions. And frankly, I always said, I'm not getting up in front of those lions. It looks like it's too scary. But then, Raj Puri, my CEO, and I decided, we had this idea, why not try it? And then after some deliberation, we said, yes, let's do it. And it was a great experience to be part of, really.
Yeah, I think the whole idea, or I hope the whole idea of a company presenting a solution to this lineup of MNOs from all different parts of the world is something which is refreshing, because basically you're really putting yourself out there. There's nowhere to hide. There were quite some interesting and direct feedback from the Lions over the course of the different presentations that were done. So it is intimidating, I think. So yeah, well done for that achievement. And maybe you could tell us a little bit more about the solution that you presented, and what is the solution intending to solve?
So our co-pilot basically targets digital debt, or you could say the human dependency that is part of the wholesale roaming financial management process today. So we have, over the last maybe 1-2 years, gained a lot of insights into the process through our WISE events. So YCE, Yaana Community Events, which is our customer gathering, where we talk about the process, the pain points, the challenges that the community has with managing this process. So throughout that phase, we tried to look at how can we actually quantify this? Is it worth investing more in automating? What do we need actually to do to address this? And we found that, if we take it across an average, we're looking at something like 5,000 hours spent annually on managing the process. If we convert that into a monetary value at industry level, 2 billion euros are spent in what we call manual process, managing a process manually, where there could, of course, be room for optimization. And it's not just about the fact that you spend more time than you necessarily should. It's also about what are the consequences of having manual processes, deviations, errors, delays, what kind of control and security do you have? So the co-pilot basically targets this. And we use this analogy of a marathon, a relay style marathon, saying, you have multiple runners and you have multiple stages. You have to pace yourself. And how do you actually prepare for each of the phases of a marathon, whether it's the pre-training, preparing your forecasting, if we're talking about the wholesale management process, the executing when you're running the race, how do you actually make sure that you keep your pace at each stage? And how do you make sure you ultimately also cross the finish line? So what we did was we were looking at the part of the race, or the part of the process that, based on our estimations, is the most costly. And we looked at, okay, so what can we do to actually address that? And for us, the answer is business-driven autonomy. So if you break all this process down into sub-elements, you can look at each of the different phases that are part of the process, each of the steps that are taken, each time an information is handed over from one person to another, or from part of the organization to another. And you can actually automate that. within the solution that we have, Noise String Analytics, we manage all this information already. So the idea is, I guess you could say, it put in a simple way, to tie the pieces together, saving time for the participants in the wholesale roaming financial process, ensuring that they have an accurate foundation to make business decisions on, actually presenting the information to them in a format and in a timely manner so that they can focus on more higher strategic level decisions. So single source of truth, automated. And of course, the timing for us on this is also the fact that within artificial intelligence, there are so many different ways of managing data today that we think is ideal for optimizing this kind of a process.
So certainly, I think your solution really captured the imagination, because I think we're all thinking of how we can optimize how we work today, and especially from the operator perspective, where there's a chance to take solutions like AI, which seems to be something which is, let's say, a little bit more affordable or able to kind of get traction than blockchain or other solutions in the market. I don't know if you agree with that, but it certainly seemed to capture everybody's imagination, and they really liked it. I also heard a lot of comments, I have to say, from different operators who have had experience of your solutions in general, and there's been a lot of very, very positive feedback. So congratulations again on this achievement.
Thank you. It's always nice to hear positive feedback, obviously.
Yeah, and well deserved. So on the evening of the presentation, of course, we had the Visionaries Gala, and you received the award, and nobody knew in advance who was the leader. Did you anticipate that you would be in the top three?
Well, we tried to take notes of all the points that were given during the presentations, and in that, we figured we were probably at least the top half. Then trying to figure out what kind of weight the audience, who voted, who didn't. So we were hopeful, and I guess we were sitting there, and we were sitting, by the way, all the way in the back, trying to actually maybe hide it a little bit. I don't know. But when we got to number 3, to number 2, some of our calculations were off, and Raj and I were sitting there and said, shoot, okay, we're not going to get it this time, but we're going to come back next year. I think that's actually what we said. And then when Diraj mentioned our name, of course, it was super, super excited and happy and fun to do the whole walk through the room with everyone being so appreciative of all the efforts we'd put into it. So it was a fun experience. It's nice winning, obviously.
Yeah. Would you recommend to take part in the Innovators then?
Yes, I would. I mean, outside of course, the winning part is absolutely amazing. Participating in the process, I think, has many benefits. Probably mentioned before the fact that it's a very interesting, it's a kind of a unique forum to do a sanity check from the market industry, experts on an idea that you have. The fact that you can have an idea that you can, of course, substantiate, but that you can get this kind of a confirmation that you're on the right track with what it is that you want to do. I think that's one part of it, but also the internal part, at least the process that we went through, taking the idea, going through the phases of how do we want to do this, what should we include, analyzing it from the preparation part is also quite useful internally as well. I mean, we're not a huge company, so I would also say, it does require some resources, just like product evolution in general does, but here you're not necessarily in charge of your own deadlines. So I think you might have reminded us once or twice that we needed to prepare the presentation because we were still, sitting at some point in time in the wee hours of a morning, maybe just tweaking the final parts of a presentation.
Yeah, I thank you for mentioning the sanity check part, because I think that's what's original about it is that chance to kind of get from a global M&O base, an opinion on it, and it kind of, if nothing else, direct you in the right direction to optimize the solution. But clearly, a big approval from the lines themselves. And what would you recommend or say or suggest, any advice you'd give to other companies who are interested in being part of the innovators in the future?
Well, I would just say go for it in general. Try it out. I think it has a benefit from a process perspective, as I mentioned in general. Probably it's a good idea to consider the audience to the extent that you can. If we look at the lines that were there this year, I think that it was very much in line with what we do. So I think it was not easy, but it made sense for us to speak the same language, if you like, as the Lions would understand that they work with the commercial management process. That is certainly a help, that you take into consideration who are you going to be addressing, just like you would, I presume, in any presentation, and then play the game of what questions could they come up with. I mean, you won't get all of them by far, because, well, at least we didn't, but anticipate as best as you can the questions that they would raise, because I think that's the part that's a little bit the scary part, right? So when you're done with the presentation, you can prepare that as much as you want to, but after that, I don't want to say you have to freestyle, but you obviously have to take into account that the questions could be anything. So try to anticipate as best as you can.
Yeah, I think it's a different style of presenting almost, because in all your experience, you've done plenty of customer meetings, I'm sure, and you're presenting your solution to the customer, and their objective is not to find fault necessarily or to critique in the same way that the Lions do. So I think, we prepare the Lions and we give them a very strong feedback to question, to try to understand what is innovative about the solution. Because that's the whole point, isn't it, really? Mm-hmm. How can we develop our industry by encouraging innovation? Would you say your company has this innovation culture? I mean, if we can say what an innovation culture is to start with, but a culture where the people in your organization are thinking of new ideas or developing, not in a way which is small incremental changes, but actually doing something a little bit more radical. Would you say you have that culture?
I think we do. I think it comes in phases. We're very good at having interactive, crazy brainstorming sessions. We do them periodically. So you could say we have structured innovation. And I think we try to drive that. We try to push it in the organization. And one of the things that you could say maybe we have formalized it to a certain extent is, one element is our internal innovative culture in general. But I would also say we have a Yaana community that has an innovative culture. So if we don't come up with anything ourselves, I am 100% sure that our Yaana community will come up with them for us. So I cannot take the credit for internally for all of the developments that we do by far, because we are a community-driven organization where the MNOs that we work with together, it's a collaboration. We do actually, discuss ideas and priorities on a regular basis, not just, one-to-one, but as a community. We bring all our MNOs together you could say that's our little private sanity check as well, but also something that drives us culturally to consider new elements and to sanity check what direction should we take. I mean, we have, and I think this probably applies to most vendors, more ideas than we can manage. So we also have to be selective and prioritize from an innovation perspective. I think there's so many things that you can do. I don't think innovation culture is the issue. Maybe it's you have to choose the right ones as well.
Another question for you, because you're inspiring me here with what you're saying, is our industry as it stands. We obviously know about the tech industry. We know about digital transformation. We know about the promise that it brings us, right, of various different enlightening ways of working or developments in our industry which could improve. Whether we think of the next mobile device being a pair of glasses, or whether we think of how we might use virtual reality within a roaming environment. But does it feel to you like people can't make the connection between what it is we have today and those kind of really out there kind of ideas which are developing? But how do we get them into telecoms?
It's a good question, and I think telecoms essentially it's an innovative industry. Think of the technology that we have available, that's provided globally for all kinds of communicative aspects, and then at the same time, sometimes the adoption might be a little bit on the slow side, or at least that might be a little bit of a latency, I guess you could say. I think it's part of human nature to be a little bit, taken back or skeptical of these huge leaps. You see many of these AI-driven projects where some reactions are, that's fine, that looks really amazing, but, and there's always a but, there's the, how does this impact society? There's the security. There's accountability that also has that needs to be taken into play, of course. And I think the balance between wanting to take the leap and we need to make sure that we know where we're going are two things that kind of need to align. I mean, even with our co-pilot, we get the question, and I think it was also one of the questions during the Lion's Den. So, are you going to make the commercial managers obsolete? Which is in no way the intention. We want to make them efficient. But I think there is some kind of not a tendency, but a concern about these very innovative ideas as to how do they impact people more, on the personal level. I think sometimes that makes the process maybe take a little bit longer than some would like.
A very good point.
I don't know if that actually answered your question, Jason.
It does, because I think that is exactly maybe what prevents us from kind of feeling like we can be more innovative, or we can take more innovative efficiency gains, kind of solutions which will replace us. But, in general, when we think about AI and we think about how we can utilize it, it seems to me that today you need to have it, you need to have access to it, whether it's for inspiration, or whether it's, to best optimize your business, because it's a new level of development, right? Which everybody's exploring. So essentially, you need to be at least on the same level to understand how to optimize your business. So I think it's not a question of people losing their jobs, or it's a question of them having a new, more enlightened way of working, which is more efficient, which allows them to do other things. And essentially, with AI, I don't think anybody's feeling like, okay, this can take over what I'm doing, or this tool can ultimately replace me, because there's still that strategic level thinking that is needed, that AI just isn't quite there yet in developing.
Yeah. Small steps.
Yeah. What's next for Yaana? Any more ideas for the future you're thinking about? I mean, you must have had a lot of positive feedback about this solution. Did it inspire you to go on to have more ideas?
Yes, absolutely. As I mentioned, we have a long list of initiatives that we're looking to piece together for the next year or so. Many of them are related, obviously, around the co-pilot, building on that and on the potential of AI. So looking at, from a co-pilot perspective, to expand the digitization, not just within the Yaana community members, so the users that we have on the Neustring Analytics platform, but actually also digitizing and inviting external parties into the game, if you like. So there's a number of initiatives going on where we're doing several POCs on what we call secure collaboration, which is basically exchanging information in an efficient and timely manner. In general, integration is key for us, not just within MNOs, but also with other vendors in the industry, We have a couple of projects where we're doing integrations, and our aim is to say, well, we like to see ourselves as the experts within our area. There are other experts who do other, who provide other elements to the ecosystem that is telecommunications, and we want to be able to integrate. So ultimately facilitating processes that go from different systems to the greater good of the MNOs. So they may be able to choose, best in class for different areas, but those different areas might be connected, and we would like to connect those dots as well. And then, of course, there's the whole wonderful world of, LLMs. What could we do with that? What if we throw everything into our own model? And I have a list, I think it's almost 500 questions that we're asking to see, this could be relevant information that could be presented and could be used in a much more efficient manner than how we do it today. So I guess headlines is secure collaboration, digitization, which is obviously quite common, but also this, what more can we do with AI? And I think the next year is going to be super exciting in general.
And one last thing, and I'm throwing this question at you. I haven't prepared you at all for it, but what is your take on the travel eSIM business and how it may impact or develop what we do today in wholesale?
Yeah. That is the question that everyone is talking about, travel SIM, eSIM. And I guess we have two camps. There's the we hate it, we love it. I think it's definitely here to stay, obviously. Travel SIM, it will change the flow of information. It will change the flow, I think, well, not only information, but of the financials as well. I think it's depending on the strategy that an MNO has, it can be a potential benefit. It can be additional revenue. I know there are some, I haven't seen the ROCCO results on the eSIMs or the travel SIM research that you've done, but I do know that some are saying that travel SIM actually activates silent roamers who have never turned on their roaming, but they actually understand how to work with an eSIM. So in one way, it's a revenue generator for an MNO. And the question is, where do you position that flow versus traditional roaming? We at Yaana are actually doing a POC on the analytics requirement for travel eSIM to understand what data is available, what information is required, and how does that actually fit in to traditional players in the market. I don't have the answer yet to what will it do, but it will do something. It already is. It already is, obviously.
Yeah, it's certainly going to create a new dynamic for the industry as operators seek to either develop solutions around it, be part of other solutions, or try to defend, or it's going to create a new environment for sure, I think. Well, Eva, it's really been great to speak to you. It's always a pleasure to see you as well. Are you planning to go to the future events coming up in our industry in the next few months?
Absolutely. And the first one on my list will be, and I think we're saying Indonesia, right?
Yes, Indonesia. Yes.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see what that dynamic is like there. With of course, we have more Asian operators, which is wonderful.
Yes, true.
But I think it's going to be less Europeans, possibly, and we don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, we've tried to plan it a little bit. So we actually have our Yaana community event in the week before. So we make a stopover in Doha, where we have one of our accounts who's going to be hosting our biannual or our second session of the year. So we make a pit stop there for a couple of days, and then we're off to Bali after.
It sounds wonderful. Your community events sound like a really engaging environment for innovation. So congratulations on that. And on the results as well of the innovators. I look forward to seeing you in the near future. Well, in Indonesia, for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jason. It was a pleasure having this conversation. And we'll definitely catch up in Indonesia.
Well, that wraps up today's enlightening episode of the Eureka Podcast by ROCCO Radio. A huge thanks to Eva for sharing her valuable insights on the evolving landscape of telecom. Innovation in wholesale financial management is really evolving, and the future of AI in the industry, pretty exciting, I think you'll agree. Be sure to tune in next time for more groundbreaking discussions. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Until then, keep exploring, stay curious, and as always, thank you for listening.